In the Jordan River Trails neighborhood, just outside Arlington in Snohomish County, neighbors saw police cruisers packed in this lane about 2 weeks ago. Sources say it's the home of the parents of Kaleb J. a member of the neo-Nazi Atomwaffen. When we walked up to the house just before noon today,
"Hello, ma'am."
the woman who answered said no comment and quickly closed the door. So, no explanation why these rifles and handguns that court documents say belong to Kaleb Cole were stored there. We've been unable to reach Cole for a comment.
Pump that shit open, point it at them, and pull the trigger. The only right they deserve is the right of lead. Hail Hitler.
A series of sinister online videos produced by the Atomwaffen Division. The scenes include what the group calls hate camps, including firearms training. One recorded session occurred just outside the city of Concrete in Skagit County in an abandoned concrete plant called Devil's Tower. Why is Atomwaffen training and arming itself? Its members are followers of Adolf Hitler, but it is more telling that they also admire 1960s mass murderer Charles Manson. Manson's followers committed murders in hopes of sparking a race war between blacks and whites. Atomwaffen has that same battle cry. Race war now! Kaleb Cole of Snohomish County is the leader of Atomwaffen's Washington cell, according to documents filed in King County Court. Authorities stripped him of 9 firearms, including military-style rifles, using an extreme risk protection order. They say Cole has been purchasing weapons, organizing hate camps, and escalating threats about the coming war.
The sooner the race war happens, the better. That's the kind of hate these guys are spewing.
Or we should all be concerned. These are red flags. This is called a red flag law. Everything about this guy is a red flag.
So, Chris, you say it's really important to emphasize this point that Kaleb Cole is not charged with a crime, correct?
That's exactly right. Not charged with a crime, and he's not been arrested. This is a civil order to seize his guns. The prosecutors, Seattle police, and the FBI told a judge, hey, look, we've been watching this guy. Here's the evidence why we think he's a danger to society, so let us take his guns for a year, and the judge agreed to do that. These extreme risk protection orders are commonly used to take guns from people who are suicidal. This is believed to be the first time that one's been used against a white supremacist like this, so they're kind of moving these kind of cases forward, I think.
Okay, Chris, thanks.
Okay.